in Paris for this magnificent Metaverse Summit, having the first panel of the day and welcoming an explosive cocktail of 4 brilliant speakers on my left-hand side, coming from all over the world, and we are going to talk about the evolution of technology, and I will have the pleasure to moderate this panel. My name is VIRGILE MANGIAVILLANO. I am the co-founder of VR Future, an Istanbul-based company that aims to merge NFT and VR by producing VR AR content with the tokenomics around it, and also by onboarding and educating the NFT space into virtual reality. So we're going to talk about augmented reality, virtual reality under the umbrella of XR. And the idea is to focus on the evolution of technology and discuss the impacts of this technology and the correlation between technology and immersive experiences. So let's start a small presentation round with a trip to the United States of America. Hello, ALEISSIA, how are you? Welcome here. How do you?
Thanks.
So
I'm Canadian, just saying.
My bad.
Yeah.
And
It's just
very good points.
Team Canada.
So
right here,
ALEISSIA LAIDACKER from Canada. She is the head of product and technology in the Open Meta Association. She was before working for Magic Leap for 3 years as a director of developer, and she was also working for Ubisoft as game director, right?
Gameplay AI lead. I led technology at Ubisoft, for about 12 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. And I know you were in NFT New York, right?
Yeah.
End of June. So you attended a panel. You were talking in a panel organized by Polygon Studio, right?
Yep.
About the future of Metaverse and the future of gaming. So how is the vibes after New York, being here in Paris, and touching base with your former colleagues from Ubisoft France, right?
Yeah. Let's see, New York, we were actually just talking about this. It was an interesting vibe at New York because it was right after the crash happened. But I'm going to say I think it was really good because some of the, I'll say maybe like NFT crypto egos were a little bit put more in place, and it was very humble. It was very humbling, that event. And I think it was great because it was especially the ones who are looking towards building platforms, tools, supporting the creator economy. There was a huge emphasis on that. Really, it was about like looking towards the builders for Web3 and people really connecting together and talking a lot more about the technology versus just NFTs and crypto in general. So I thought that was really good. We spoke at the panel, the Polygon Studios panel, and it was about the metaverse, the future of the metaverse. I'll say half of the panel was us trying to figure out what is the metaverse, because it's such a like overused term in a good way. And I think there's so many different explanations for what people want the metaverse to be and where the metaverse will go. So there was a lot of discussion about that. And then I would say a lot of discussion about interoperability.
Right.
I think that's like such a huge term and such an important term as we're looking towards the metaverse. So it was really good to get also the feedback from the crowd, hearing from creators, hearing what they want the metaverse to be. So really great conference. And yeah, I'm happy to be back in Paris. I used to be here all the time with Ubisoft.
So
yeah,
welcome
nice
back. Welcome back among us. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
And also you co-founded Maven XR. You can keep the mic maybe. You co-founded this company in March, right? So
yeah.
What are you working on regarding the immersive experiences? What are your projects you are working on at the moment?
So with my company, Maven, it's very early days right now, which is where I was like, I'll focus more on open meta for now. But Maven, our goal is really to be the intersection between augmented reality, storytelling, and Web3. So really thinking about how technology can leverage storytelling through XR. So early days with that, more news hopefully later this year. But I've been working a lot with open meta since earlier this year. It's been a lot of fun. where right now we're building out SDKs and tools for game creators, for metaverse creators to be able to embrace interoperability, to be able to embrace utility. So bringing Web3 to creators who might not exactly know what that is today, and really being able to like facilitate and create easy to use tools and platforms for creators.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Aleissa. Again, a very warm welcome.
Thank you.
Let's continue our presentation trip. We remain in Canada, having the presence of Dan Burgar. How are you feeling, Dan?
Feeling really good. Bit jet lag, but really good.
So welcome.
It's not working. Why don't you speak very loud?
It's everyone heard.
Yep. Thanks.
Yeah, so Dan, you are an influencer, a pioneer within the metaverse industry. You are the president of the Vancouver AR/VR Association since 2016. You write also for TechCrunch, for Daily Hive. You were as well top 15 in LinkedIn 2021 regarding the sector of global voice for technology and innovation. A question for you, Dan, with this overview. How do you see the immersive experiences within general audience mind? And how was the evolution of the public access to those experiences throughout the years, according to you?
Well, I'll answer that last piece first. It's been a journey. I've been in the industry for about 10 years. And it's taking a while, but I feel like we're at the precipice of something special that we haven't seen in our industry within the virtual augmented reality metaverse ecosystem. We're seeing all this starting to percolate. We're still in the third inning of really where this will play out, but something that I haven't seen is more of general awareness of where this technology can go and a lot of the innovation around it. So we're starting to see a lot of frontier tech in general, AI, blockchain, Web3. It's all going to intersperse together, and I really feel like conferences like this is important and powerful because we shouldn't be speaking in our own silos. It's going to take kind of an army of us innovators and creators to be able to build for this new paradigm.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here as well. And we are continuing our presentation trip in back to Europe, in the Netherlands, precisely with WESLEY PABIS or PABIS. Okay, yeah. And welcome to you. You are an augmented reality expert. Working within the industry sector. For years, you were working for several big firms regarding interior design and physical furnitures. You are developing an AR solution at the moment. So, and also you worked for Colv, the world's first pumping room for women who cannot leave their kids at home and also who need to feed them at work, right?
Yeah, we're coming out of a world of 3D visualization and architecture. So we're always looking for offices, like how can we improve offices and make it more inclusive. Yeah, this is the one that's not working. How we can make it more inclusive. And by law it's required in the Netherlands that there has to be a pumping room for women after their pregnancy. So we jumped into that and we wanted to create something for women after their pregnancy that they can breast pump and feed their babies.
Right.
But, that is like another company. We started that up, and now we moved on into the augmented reality phase because we saw like a big shift within the COVID era that people are not going to the store anymore. With online shopping, there's a lot of problems with lack of interpretation of people, like how is an object standing in your room. And with augmented reality, you're bringing the product to the customer,
right.
So they can really see it in their personal space. Oh, now I hear that I was.
It's okay. I think everyone could hear your voice is strong enough.
Yeah. So and with augmented reality, you're bringing it to the customer. So there's more customer engagement, and we can communicate through the products and through the brands with augmented reality and art.
Okay. And thank you, Dan, but thank you, Wesley. Just before we moved into your augmented reality solution, just to come back on this inclusion, I wanted to ask you if this concept of inclusion is how do you see the metaverse situation in terms of inclusion, first of all, and do you think that the equity concept in the metaverse will be a kind of or will be reshaped, or will be a kind of a mirror of our current real life situation? What do you think about that?
It's actually beautiful what Dan just said, because like we're building this whole new era all together, and it's a whole new world that we're creating with Web3 and the Metaverse. And everybody has a fair chance to start with that and create his own ideas, to create his own part of that world, because we're still discovering in that. And there's a place for everyone within the Metaverse, because like in a game, like when you're having your avatar, people cannot see your outside, or when you're disabled, or everybody is the same. And you can be yourself within the Metaverse and create your own spot within that. And that's the beautiful thing about Web3 and the Metaverse is, there's so much things to discover and to create, and let's do that all together.
Let's build together. Thank you so much. We'll say thank you for being with us. Thank you again. And let's conclude our presentation round trip back to Paris with our final speaker, our final panelist, Louis. Hello, how are you, Louis? How are you feeling?
I'm good, thank you. I'm not jet lagged.
Yeah, you're a bit closer to the destination, indeed. So Louis, you are the CEO of Vroom, one of the most influential worldwide metaverse entertainment platform, dedicated to culture, for artists, for producers, for festival organizers who would like to connect directly with their audience. And like our company, VR Future, I saw that you are a member of the Metaverse Forum. It's a collective of companies that aims to foster interoperability, as ALEISSIA was mentioning, for better metaverse, more inclusive, and for everyone. Is this concept of interoperability important for you, and why?
It's absolutely crucial, and I think everybody agrees here. So basically what we're doing at Vroom, we are delivering emotions, and these emotions should have no border, basically. And this is the real, I mean, exactly what makes it so important that interoperability is at the core of what we all do, because we want everybody to have access. It also has the notion of accessibility, because without interoperability there will be barriers to access, there will be barriers to communication, there will be barriers to how people interact with each other, there will be barriers to creativity, because you can only create, and you can only create so much as you're not limited by a lot of influences and encounters that you can have everywhere. So interoperability beyond just monetization and economics is absolutely crucial.
Thank you, Louis, and we are building together, trying to make it happen. So let's go to the core of our panel. We're going to talk about technology evolution, the impacts of technology within the metaverse and on the immersive experiences. And before we go a little bit deeper into the abstract and something extremely virtual and even spiritual, let's stick to something very concrete. Let's talk about the hardware. And we can speak maybe a little bit with ALEISSIA about that. ALEISSIA was working with Magic Leap, so she's a strong expert in that area. She is now a consultant, an advisor, so you have a very wide overview of all kind of equipment. The question is how, according to you, how did the evolution of hardware affect the immersive experiences?
Yeah, and I would love for you guys to jump in as well, since you guys have definitely focused on VR, AR for immersive experiences. I'll say when I joined Magic Leap, it wasn't a headset. It was a thing called the fridge. So it was this massive piece of hardware, and honestly, I had to go and do like Cairo because it was so heavy on our head. As we evolved towards the headset, the PQ, and it was actually like in production, it was a lot of fun because we worked with a lot of immersive experience creators. We had worked early with Meow Wolf. I don't know if anyone here knows Meow Wolf, but one of my favorite art immersive installations in Santa Fe and Denver and Las Vegas. We had worked with them. We had worked with the Royal Shakespeare Company in the UK. And there was such excitement about augmented reality from a hardware side. But really, it was very limited, especially even from the processing side. One, I think the early versions of headsets, I mean, I think this is probably why Apple hasn't come out yet, is that they know it needs to be something that's very lightweight. It needs to be something where you're not recharging it every hour. It needs to be something where it's really like easy on and off play. So I love that in the immersive experience space, people are very excited about augmented reality. They're excited about virtual reality. But I think we're starting to see, or at least I'll say I've seen a shift with some of the creators going back to mobile, just for the accessibility, at least from an augmented reality side. Like, make it as easy for your users as possible from a hardware side while we wait for the companies to catch up with hardware. But I'd love to hear what you
Yes,
guys
exactly.
think as
Maybe
well.
Louis, Dan, or Wesley would like to add a point regarding the hardware issue, as it is a key, as we know, for the access to the metaverse.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you just said. Actually, when we, I mean, virtual reality is just so limited right now because people don't own headsets, basically, but everybody has a mobile phone. And so I cannot agree more. Everything we have done, actually, all our productions are meant to allow anyone to access them. So that's why we built a system of cameras inside virtual reality so that we can actually broadcast in live stream whatever happens in our virtual productions so that anyone with via any platform can actually access it. So that's one. And until the headsets actually disappear, there will be this this constraint and this limitation to the access to the general audiences. And I know that we all wait for virtual reality or augmented reality to become more user friendly and not invasive and intrusive. The other thing I have, like regarding the hardware, is that beyond the limitation of what the hardware can deliver now and the accessibility to most consumers, is the fact that it's also a kind of door for the creators to access some markets in particular. So if we are thinking about Pico or Quest, etc., if you don't have, if your application or if your experience doesn't get on those hardware, it's impossible to actually reach the consumers who are using that hardware. And this is also a question we have about how make these platforms more open so that everybody can actually access to their catalog or at least be present on these platforms. And that's a very important question, I think.
Thank you, Louis. Wesley, Dan, do you have something to add regarding this very important question of the hardware?
Yeah, you kind of said it all, but it's important that the phones that we have right now, they have the augmented reality that we can display in photorealistic quality, and that's really a bridge into the new phase of that is getting people excited for this new technology. Mm-hmm. Because, like you said, everybody has a phone, and that's the gateway into this whole new mass adoption of AR and VR. And I hope that the development of the VR glasses is going to be that it's not so heavy and that it's more usable for people.
Let's see. Yeah, I just saw that the project Cambria from MetaQuest just changed the name. It was a code name. Now it's called MetaQuest Pro. So it's a long, tent and trend of lots of names like the iPhone. Let's see what's going to happen. Dan, any final word about the hardware issue?
Yeah, I agree with everyone here. It's, until we get to the point where all the computing is in glasses that look like this, it's really going to be a bit difficult to kind of get over that hurdle. Although, every Christmas we do see the Quest numbers jump 3x, every year. So we're starting to see some movement in the VR, AR space, but, we have these powerful computing devices in our pockets, and we're able to see augmented reality. So I think that's kind of the gateway drug, as you had mentioned. And you know, Apple is probably going to come out with their first iteration of their glasses in the next 3 years. So we're pretty close, but the headset is still too clunky, too dorky looking for the average Joe to want to put that on every day.
Yes, exactly. For Apple, we are waiting since a long time. Let's see what's going to come up. At the end, we are trying to imagine it's never going to come, but let's hope. But you're right.
We have to be patient. You also don't want it to be too quick.
True.
Nowadays, we want everything to be there already. Like also with the whole metaverse, it's still in the building phase, and we cannot be already with a full-scale building in the first years of building.
If I could just add a little bit there, I think it's maybe a good thing because once we know Apple comes out, everyone's going to be like, woo, augmented reality. And I think the shift, especially since the pandemic, with everyone starting to look at how do I build for the metaverse? What are the platforms? As we all, I think, said, interoperability and pushing for an open metaverse platform. I would like this to be at least semi-sorted. So like once it becomes really accessible, augmented reality, there is a platform that is open to creators, ownership for creators, ownership for developers, and not just owned by the 1 or 2 companies who are out there today.
Long live decentralization.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you so much. Indeed, we, as you mentioned, Dan, like the Oculus app was the most downloaded app during Christmas, so it's a good sign for the future. And yeah, and Louis, let's go back to you. You had a long artistic life behind you. You worked in a theater for 21 years.
I was the owner of a theater for 21 years.
Okay, and you are also an award-winning writer and director. That's correct?
That's correct.
And you created Room, as we said at the beginning, dedicated to culture, an entertainment metaverse platform. And before that, you were also working as a vice director with George Lucas THX. So my question is about this transition from traditional, let's say, cinematographic technology to those immersive experiences that you are building. How is this transition going? And maybe you can talk a little bit about your immersive concerts. You did an amazing show with Jean-Michel Jarre that gathered more than 75 million views, not only on the metaverse, but also on YouTube. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that technology and this transition from cinema to immersive experiences.
Well, actually, I would more say that it's not a transition to cinema, from cinema to immersive technologies. The cinema experience and the audiovisual experience of standards developed by THX for the cinemas and for the studios in Hollywood, for example, or all over the world, just made me touch how important it is to have technology not separated from creativity. Because that's exactly the spirit that George Lucas wanted for THX. And when I was working there, it was really, I met with an amazing team of technicians, engineers, who were, before they were engineers, they were artists. And that was really very important because they had this feel and this touch and this mindset that really was like, sometimes, you know, for example, we had testing machines that told us this is the perfect rendering, this is the perfect sound output, this is the perfect acoustics, because everything was perfect. And the engineers were there and they're, no, I don't like it. So. And they twitched it with a human ear or human eye, and I was really loving this approach because it was not entirely mechanical. But beyond THX and everything I could have learned there, which was really eye-opening and mind-blowing, it's my experience as a musician and as a theater owner that really made me embrace virtual reality, and in particular social VR, because when you share the emotion of live performances in front of audiences, and this emotion is so strong because it's live, and the power of live emotions is something that is really unmatchable, I think. And it has always been my search to how can I share this experience, how can I share this emotion with as many people as possible. And this is only in 2014-15 when we saw the arrival of, then in 2016, of like HTC Vive and Oculus Rift and PlayStation VR, that I thought, okay, this is, it was like a revelation. That's exactly what the future is for live entertainment in particular. And how we can bring that emotion into the technology world world, because you're not in front of the screen anymore, but you're inside the screen, and because you're not alone, you're together. And it doesn't have anything to do with the photorealism or whatever. It doesn't work like this. It's just the magic of being together, living the same moment at the same time, and being able to share that moment.
Thank you, very inspiring. And yeah, actually we can also move a little bit forward with Dan. Dan, you created the Frontier Collective. That's 1 year ago, right? And actually you are trying to build a sustainable and innovating diverse future for innovation in Vancouver. So my question is about what kind of immersive experiences are you supporting? And in that field, what are you doing at the moment to support that field?
Yeah, so Frontier Tech is past the emerging tech stage. So it's technology that's here today, but is a few years away from commercialization. So I think VR, AR, Metaverse, Web3 is sort of kind of past that emerging tech stage. It's a lot of the pieces are here today, but there's still a lot of work to do to ensure that there's continued innovation in this realm. Because right now we are building the piping to what we're going to see this metaverse turn out to be. So I created the organization to bring together other facets of these revolutionary technologies, because I believe that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that we're in right now. All these transformational technologies, VR, AR, Web3, AI, and climate tech is all kind of permeating right now. And we haven't seen an era like this since the 90s or 80s. And I really believe that instead of working in silos, we've got to be talking to each other, right? Like all these technology innovators, creatives need to really kind of mass together and look at how do we solve real world problems and how do we create content that will be meaningful. And that's really kind of the ethos and genesis of why we created the Frontier Collective.
Amazing, thank you, Dan. And let's a little bit go back to augmented reality, if you agree, and talk a little bit about Augmento, Wesley. You are trying to connect the physical furniture and the art markets with the metaverse. Basically, that's what you're trying to do through an AP software solution, account billable solution that also allow the use of an augmented reality situation. So, and that actually is optimizing the e-commerce platform, right?
Yeah.
So can you explain a little bit to us how it works and how this AP solution can help the optimization of the e-commerce platform, firstly, and how does it work precisely as a user to use your augmented reality solution?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we are a software as a service company for augmented reality. So we want to make it as easy as possible for design brands and artists to implement their products within augmented reality and do that in a conversion time of a minute. So they're opening up an account, they have their 3D products which they are putting in our software, and it automatically converts into AR, which they can place either on their own website or have in our own library where you see like a discovery of products that you can see with different brands, different styles. With, like for instance, the art world, there's now, if you like an artist from Australia and you want to see your artwork, that artwork above your couch, you have to ship it, you have to insure it. There's a lot of hassle within that whole process, but it's not to say that you're going to buy that piece. But if you can like automatically see that piece in your gallery or above your couch in augmented reality and see it in your personal space, you don't have to do all those steps in between. So it's a lot more cost efficient, but also the footprint, the carbon footprint, because there's, for companies, there's less R&D in like how are you going to develop that product. You can immediately see it within a space, like if you're decorating it for an architect, that he's sitting with the client and showing around, like, yeah, this is this is the piece that we can put here or show here. So it's a lot more efficient. And on the user side, it's a free-to-use platform. So you're going to the platform, you're discovering new products, you see artists and product designers that you normally would not have seen because you're going always to that same shop or to that same shopping market. So you're discovering new products and bringing it all together in augmented reality.
I see, amazing, amazing. And also you are focusing on the Web3 solution.
Yes.
So it would be nice to advance a little bit regarding that, Web3, tokenization, and talk a little bit about the impact of that technology within the metaverse industry. Indeed, many experts think that a real metaverse and the constructed metaverse should include a lot of blockchain technology. Like crypto or NFT DAOs, such as authentication or money transaction, or also properties ownership. So that's a big question.
Yeah, that's the Web3 part. So what we want to do, we want to take the authentic brands and artists from Web2 into Web3. So we are like educate them in that new phase of digitalization. So when they created the product in AR, they would also have the chance with us to mint it into the chain of their choice. So it's going to be a multi-chain wallet and a marketplace. So we want to shift the physical goods into the digital phase. So that can be with a digital contract. So you have a proof of ownership of an artwork, or like for instance this chair that can be 3D printed as an NFT, and you have the proof of ownership. And also that's from digital to physical. So both ways, there's a big market and new possibilities for creating digital goods and digital products.
Right, you are the first, let's say, e-commerce platform that's trying to combine Web 2 and Web 3.
Yes.
So that's pretty amazing. Congratulations for that. And yeah, you are trying to bridge that. So maybe explain a little bit for everyone how you bridge Web 2 and Web 3, how it works precisely. And you also are launching a NOG token in Q2,
Yes.
right? So can you a little bit explain to us what is this token and how it will affect your augmented reality experience?
Yeah, that's going to be the augmented token, and we're going to launch that in the next quarter. So first of all, you're always going to sit down and like, why do we need a token? Because there's so much tokens in the whole crypto world that doesn't really have a utility. But we are a Web 2 and Web 3 company, so the design companies that are having a subscription with us, that's in the Web 2 space. So they can display their products within augmented reality. And we want the people that are investing in augmented token, we want them to benefit out of what we are earning in the Web 2 space, so to make it decentralized. So with the monthly memberships that we are getting from the design brands, if you are staking your augmented coin, you can benefit and earn from the Web 2 company subscriptions. So we want to make it beneficial in Web 2 and Web 3.
Thank you so much. And talking about token, we can come back a little bit in NFT New York, maybe. Aleissa, you were there. you attended 2 side events, one from the World of Women and one from BFF, oriented women rights and education. So a question for you, we have just talked about earning. We know that the play-to-earn system is getting popular within the NFT space. Do you think it's we're gonna have the same trend and is going to develop pretty much regarding the immersive experiences?
Good question. Let's see. I'll say that I think some of the first Web3 games that we saw were built by non-game creators, and what we were seeing in some of the first example was more the pay to win, which anyone in gaming is like, that is evil, that should not be used in any way. But the play to earn, like, it took a while even in the gaming community to like foster that and to like accept building games with that. But I think it's like at the end of the day, it comes down to just good game design. I think what we're seeing now more with Web3 is that it's not bringing in necessarily new models for economy. It's a different type of economy for how to like reward your players, or a different type of complete different economy strain. But at the end of the day, it's what Web3 is bringing is more decentralization and ownership back to your users. So I think that's where for game designers, I'm actually really excited about what this can mean for game creators, especially those in the immersive space. If you think about where the data now is controlled by your users maybe can control how a story evolves. Let's say it's completely decentralized and you've built an economy, you're using Web3, you're using NFTs, but not just for PFPs, not just these images. You're using NFTs as almost like game states. Think of it where it's like a story that evolves maybe over the next year or the next 5 years, the next 10 years. And it's really your owners who are able to like contribute back to those stories and be able to use like the decentralization of Web3 for these types of stories. So I'm not sure exactly if that was your question, but when you were saying play to earn, I think there's potential there. There's definitely some great potential, but I'm way more excited about how Web3 is going to be used for new types of gameplay, for new types of storytelling, and really thinking about like persistence and longevity for immersive experience creators utilizing Web3.
Brilliant, thank you so much.
I shifted your question.
No, it was not shifted. It was an excellent answer. Thank you so much, Aleissa. And Louis, you are just next to us. Any tokenized process, any play-to-earn plans for your current entertainment metaverse platform? Do you have these kind of objectives in the future?
Yes, and it's actually a little bit like the Web 2, Web 3 integration also. It's also linked to that because right now in virtual reality, so we just designed a full world for, again, Jean-Michel Jarre, with whom we have a very, very strong partnership now. This world will be released in October. And the whole world is actually a huge game, basically, but it's a music experience at the same time. And I totally agree with what you just said about like becoming like we are finding ways to make this world, you know, tokenizable and make each part of this world a part of something that can be owned by the user, and the user can write their own story and make the world evolve like a real world, basically. So that's a very important subject to us. That's also the NFT stuff. To me, I'm a little bit ambivalent about that because when digitalization and Web 2 arrived before, we were thinking that ownership would become a thing of the past, basically, or more or less. I'm just a little bit summarizing. That usage would be more like something that is more important than ownership. And with the NFTs arriving everywhere, it puts ownership back in the center of the game. I think we need to be careful about what is IP, what is ownership. There is a very thin line, and if we want to promote a metaverse that is super inclusive, super accessible, and super shareable, and to be able to be more equal in a way, this ownership notion has to be thought more. I mean, in a different way. So I'm not very clear, maybe, but it raises a lot of questions.
Let's listen maybe to Dan, because Dan, you created also a company called Shape. It's an immersive leading company regarding AR, VR, and you also building 3D and NFT marketplace for world's leading brands. So maybe it's a good way, also a good transition to let you talk about that, about NFT, about those marketplaces. How does it work for your leading brands? How do you help them regarding this ownership question?
Yeah, it's been interesting. So before COVID and during COVID, we had focused really on the Web 2 brands, existing enterprises, brands, and e-commerce companies that really wanted to tap into 3D technology and AR. But we realized, you know, trying to get them over the hurdle of understanding the tech was a job in itself. So we actually had to do a lot of hand-holding. You know, these brands are still very risk averse and really trying to understand how to integrate it into their big behemoth of a company. So that we found that it was quite arduous to get through that process, and we tried to really get them to get out of that mind frame of creating in physical spaces or thinking outside the box. And it took a while, and we finally got there with a few brands, but really where we started seeing Shape take off is working with NFT companies like Artifact or Star Atlas, the play to earn model, and looking at how can you integrate holograms and 3D into some of the NFTs that they're creating rather than a PFP or something that's static. I really believe that utility will be this next wave of NFTs in Web3. Right now, we're seeing this huge crypto NFT Web3 crash, but like every transformational technology, you'll see the dips and the rises. And I really think that we're kind of in this era where we're seeing things really try kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It's recalibrating. It's weeding out all the bad actors, all the shilling. Well, not all the shilling, but some of it, and it's really looking at changing the ecosystem to look at how can my Web3 platform or product make a difference in the world, and how it can make it can really capture the hearts and minds of people around the world. So I really think we're in this new paradigm shift. We're not going to be in this winter for long. It's going to rise again, but we're going to see the real players play out, just much like we did in the Web 2, Web 1 eras.
So let's wait for the bull run and the recalibration of this decentralized world. Let's see. So we are approaching to the end of the panel. Let's have a conclusion, and let's benefit from the panelist vision of the future of the metaverse due to this technology evolution. A first question for Wesley, and a fun one. Will the metaverse open a new era of super fun jobs?
Yeah, definitely. Like I think in my first question that already answered it. There's going to be so much possibilities for talent, for designers to create. For my business with augmented reality and design, it's going to be that you can bend the law of physics. So you can create floating couches that are dripping in the metaverse. You can see that in your own space. Like we have the OVR here that they're creating like a map over the world, and like Meta is doing that. So we really can place augmented reality objects within our personal space, or in your house, that you have a big statue that is standing there, which you can only see through your glasses, through your phone. So it's like a whole world opening up for talent and designers to create. And yeah, I am super excited for everything that has to come. We are going to create new partnerships with big design companies to create NFTs that we can 3D print, which is going to be standing in your living room, so you can physically see your NFT standing in your living room. And it's a swift thing. So actually I'm happy that now we are in the crypto winter, or like the NFT winter, because it rashes out all the scammers and everything. And now it's time to really build into that next phase and see what are the possibilities also for design, because that's a really untapped market yet. We see the fashion brands entering the market, and they're doing it great with new designs, creating your own fashion. And that next phase with decorating the metaverse is going to be something that has no limits.
Wow, very inspiring. Very exciting time to come. Thank you, Wesley. Thank you so much for
Thank you for having me.
To share your vision. And I would like to ask Louis something, if you agree. Like I saw recently a video from Thrill Seeker. Maybe you know about him. He's a VR influencer, and he literally recreated Ready Player One in his home. Literally, I'm not exaggerating. Like he did all equipment, and he explained, the fragmentation of the technology, and he was explaining the B2B focus as well, and the complexity of everything. So, Louis, this is my question for you. At the moment, we can mainly see and listen in the metaverse. will we be able soon to smell, to feel, to have emotions, and even to run?
Well, we already have emotions, but we definitely can. I mean, we can foresee that a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of developers are working on devices that will allow everything that you said and allow to have a full sensory experience in the real world, but virtual sensory experiences. That's definitely what's going to happen. I don't know when, because some of them are more difficult than others to master, I guess. I mean, I'm not an engineer. But we are looking for that. I mean, we are looking to have this full sensory experience that will make us even like, because as I mentioned in the beginning, I mean, we totally believe in emotion, and emotion needs to have some kind of sensory trigger. If it's audiovisual, it's already a lot, but it can be much more powerful with other senses that are very, very important. And I think
touching, because Jean-Michel Jarre was also touching the
absolutely.
equipment.
So haptics are already quite developed. I think there is a good advances in haptics, and very, very soon I think we will have, and we already have actually, experiences that are very, very powerful. But they are like smell and taste are the most difficult to master, I get. But once we have that, there will absolutely be no limitation to what we can live and what we can experience. And that's the whole purpose of virtual reality and augmented reality, right? I mean, it's to have no limit anymore. And I hope that all these, when it all comes together, will allow us to build a brand new civilization.
Wow. Inspiring. Thank you, Luis. Thank you so much. It was great to have you on this panel. And as you mentioned also, there is a strong fragmentation within the technology. Some countries are advancing in that direction, the other on the other direction. It's not really centralized. And we can give an example of a good example of South Korea, who have a very good collaboration between the private and the public sector. But I have a question for you, Dan, as you traveled so much and you've been all over the world regarding those matters. Do you think the metaverse and its evolution will help us to feel more citizen of the world?
Yeah, I think so. A lot of people think, when the metaverse, the metaverse that we talk about, when it's here, it's going to really take us away from society and the world around us. But I actually think it'll bring us closer together, because you're not going to want to spend 14 hours a day in the metaverse, but it will allow you to be able to connect with one another. So if you have a friend in England and you're in Vancouver, you're able to sit on the same couch together or play golf on the moon. And I really do believe it'll bring us closer together, and then you'll want to actually see that person in real life. So I feel like it'll just be sort of that, that world that you can go in, interact with your favorite brands, meet with your team if you're dispersed, and really connect us, in society in a different way. If we build this right. If we don't, if it's all brands leading this and all enterprises, then we're fucked. But I really do believe this can really change things, especially if you can go from the metaverse into augmented reality, because augmented reality, you're looking at everyone face to face, and you're actually talking to them, and you're just just overlaying information in front of them. And I really do feel augmented reality, and once we get there, the metaverse will be something that can empower us and really look at us to look at different perspectives.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dan, for being there with this panel. It was very, very insightful. And Ailissa, you can have the last word, maybe,
All right.
if you agree. Yeah, talking about your vision of the metaverse. Do you think it should be totally? We talked about that, interoperable, massive, scalable. Should it be totally free for everyone? What's your vision of the future of the metaverse?
No, none of that. No, I'm joking. I think everyone here has spoken about this extensively, And a funny bit is, I think a year ago, we weren't using the words decentralization. We weren't using the words interoperable. And I think it's for good reason. A lot of us were really focused on like, what's a great experience I could build for VR? What's a good experience I can build for AR? But I think as we look towards the future and why we keep using these words over and over, decentralization and interoperability and utility, is that to me, the vision of the metaverse is everywhere around us. Like, this can be where I'm using augmented reality, I'm using virtual reality, I'm on my mobile phone, I'm in front of my computer, but that experience is persistent. It's going to be able to like continue with me as I'm walking down the street. I can choose which filters I want to have active in my version of the metaverse, or I could turn them all off if I want. But I'd love to have it where I've left a Zoom meeting or something like that, I'm walking down the street, and I've got on my filters for education, or I've got on my filters for immersive experiences and immersive theater or something like that. I always say my dream is, I don't know if anyone has done Sleep No More or Secret Cinema or anything like that. I want that in the real world around me. Like, I want to bring play back to like what we're doing in our everyday lives, not just using the metaverse and AR and VR for like work and for things like that we're seeing a lot of like AR mobile experiences for. I want the world around us to become a playground. And it's only going to happen as all the different platforms, ecosystems, all of us as builders, as you said, work together. And I think that's where it's really exciting that we're all supporting this open metaverse initiative and working together and trying to make this as open as possible for creators and users.
Thank you so much, Aleissa. Thank you, Louise. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Wesley. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this panel. We are going to move to the other session. Have a great day. Have a great Metaverse Summit, and see you soon. Take care.